Okay, so let's dive right into one of the biggest, deepest mysteries in all of science and philosophy. What exactly is consciousness? I mean, think about it for a second. How does this 3-pound lump of wet tissue inside your skull, which is really just a bunch of lifeless matter when you get right down to it, how does that generate the rich, seamless, technicolor movie that is your entire subjective world? This is what's called the hard problem, and for the longest time, the standard answer has just been, well, it somehow just emerges from all that complexity.
But that answer, it's got some pretty serious gaps. First, there's the hard problem we just mentioned. You can describe all the neurons firing when you see the color red, but how do you get the actual feeling of red? Then you've got the unity problem. If you look at a brain scan, activity is happening all over the place. It's fragmented. But your experience right now is one, single, unified whole. Why? And of course, there's the causal problem. If your brain is just a physical machine running a program, how does your non-physical will or intention actually make your physical arm move? These are really sticky questions that the standard model just struggles to answer.
And because of these gaps, a growing number of philosophers and scientists are starting to propose a pretty radical flip of our most basic assumption about how reality works. Yeah, what if we have the entire story completely backwards? Instead of consciousness being this strange little byproduct of a fundamentally dead material universe, what if matter is just an appearance within a universal field of consciousness? And this idea, it actually has a name, cosmopsychism. It suggests that a single universal consciousness is the fundamental reality. It's not something that showed up late to the party with complex brains. It's the screen on which the entire movie of the cosmos is being projected. So get this, consciousness isn't something in the universe. The universe is something in consciousness. Now, here's where things get really fascinating. This seemingly cutting-edge idea from modern philosophy, it's not new at all. In fact, it has this incredibly deep and ancient parallel in Eastern thought. Thousands of years ago, the Vedantic philosophy of India laid out a nearly identical picture of reality. What modern cosmopsychism calls universal consciousness, Vedanta calls Brahman or Paramatma. Our individual minds, our local perspectives, that's Jivatma. And the physical world of separate things and forms, Vedanta calls that Maya or Namarupa, the structured appearance of the whole. It's a stunning parallel. Two completely different vocabularies from different eras describing the exact same core vision of reality. But the power of this idea goes even further. This consciousness-first view also happens to offer some surprisingly elegant solutions to some of the biggest head-scratchers in cosmology. So, for example, physicists have been baffled for decades by the fine-tuning problem. You see, the basic constants of our universe, like the strength of gravity, the charge of an electron, they are tuned to an impossibly precise degree. If any of them were just a tiny bit different, stars wouldn't form, planets wouldn't exist, and we certainly wouldn't be here. So why does our universe have these perfect Goldilocks conditions? Well, the standard view basically just says we got lucky. It was a cosmic accident. But cosmopsychism offers a much more compelling story. It suggests that the laws of physics aren't some external rules imposed on a dead universe. No, they are the consistent habits of a universal mind. They're the reliable ways that this universal consciousness orders and expresses itself. So the universe is fine-tuned for life because its fundamental nature is awareness, seeking expression. And this even reframes how we see the Big Bang. In this view, the Big Bang wasn't the beginning of everything. It was the beginning of the cosmic play. The timeless infinite ground of consciousness, what Vedanta calls Brahman, that's eternal. The Big Bang, or Srishti, was simply the moment the curtain went up, the first event unfolding within that pre-existing conscious foundation. Okay, so if consciousness is universal, if it's the ground of all being, then what is the brain's job? If it's not creating consciousness, what in the world is it doing? Well, the brain doesn't create consciousness any more than a prism creates light. Instead, it acts as a kind of complex biological filter. Think of the universal consciousness as pure, white light, undifferentiated and whole.
The brain, what Vedanta calls the antakarana, or the inner instrument, is the prism that this light passes through. It refracts that pure awareness, localizing it into the unique, colorful spectrum of your personal thoughts, feelings, and perceptions.
All right, so when we put all these pieces together, when you pull from modern philosophy, ancient Vedanta, and even cosmology, you end up with a completely new and, frankly, a remarkably coherent picture of reality. It's a grand synthesis where everything clicks into place. Consciousness is the fundamental ground. Our individual selves, we're just filtered perspectives of that one single whole. The physical laws we observe, those are just the habits of consciousness. And the universe is fine-tuned for life because its very purpose is to be a stage for conscious experience to unfold.
This entire framework completely flips our perspective. We go from seeing ourselves as these tiny, accidental flickers of awareness in a vast, dark, and fundamentally dead universe to seeing the entire universe, matter and all, as a vibrant expression that is appearing within a living, aware, and fundamental reality. And this leads us to the final, really profound question to leave you with. If this view is right, if the universe is a single conscious mind expressing itself through us and everything else, then what is it trying to know through our existence? What does it mean for reality itself to be, at its very deepest level, one grand act of self-discovery?